sales organization, you want 60% or better of your business coming from referrals.
And so now I'm learning that things are not so straightforward like that. That's coming with time, maturity, emotional intelligence.
I started getting into the environment of hunting at 7.
Oh, wow.
Because I started to shoot the bow, bow and arrow and learning that.
What I learned is that people don't like the scripted version of you.
Well, guess what? That building was 100% leased, fully spoken for prior to certificate of occupancy.
I think that people don't see that. They just think, like exactly how you said, like it's just like, oh, I just woke up here.
There's two sides to passion, right? There's a harmonious side and there's an obsessive side.
Sometimes you expect the punch because that leaves the person open. So, I knew where to take my hits. I knew when to duck.
He looked at me straight in my face and told me, listen, I'm good whether you make it or you don't. I'm good. You're not.
Welcome to another episode of the Bottom Line Podcast, where we say what we mean and we mean what we say, because at the core of everything that is, was, and forever will be, there will always be the bottom line. Today's guest. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Bottom Line Podcast, where we say what we mean and we mean what we say, because at the core of everything that is, was, and forever will be, there will always be the bottom line. Today's guest is Kassandra Head with Kassandra Head Digital Marketing. And so what stood out to me with Kassandra is some people overcomplicate digital marketing, and they make it so that it's all about algorithms and just tech talk. And so what stood out to me with Kassandra's content was it was very simple to understand, and she was engaging with the camera. So some people don't understand, like, you got to engage with the camera as if you're engaging with an audience, and she did that just naturally. So I said, hey, Kassandra, this looks like really good content. Would you like to be a guest on my podcast? And she was like, sure, I'll think about it. And then she said yes. So welcome today, Kassandra, to the Bottom Line. Thanks for taking the time. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I like your content. I like your vibe. And I think that's what pretty much resonates with people, especially when they're confused about digital marketing and just making that switch to video content, Yeah,
well, I can definitely sympathize. I was super flattered when you said that what attracted you to my content was, my vibe on camera, which is a huge win for me because I do not consider myself to be a natural on camera. In fact, when I said to you, like, I need to think about it, it was mostly me grappling internally with the idea of being on camera and doing a podcast. So that was big for me. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. So I think that's a good place to start, right? Like, so a lot of people do struggle, and I think you could break it down to like introvertedness or extrovertedness, or even like the ambivert, right? And what I have found is like people who are more introverted, more reserved, they're not gonna get in front of the camera. It's like more of a struggle, it's more of a challenge for them. What was it for you? What made you make the switch from like just writing copy to getting in front of the camera?
Well, part of it was just seeing how much video has been growing and seeing all of the great results other people were getting, and just kind of seeing which way the wind has been blowing in terms of digital marketing, and knowing that seems to be what's working. That's what people want. That's what the audiences want. That's what audiences are engaging with. And then when I finally kind of bit the bullet, I started with reels because I think they're fun and funny.
Sure.
And I saw my numbers and engagement skyrocket. So I was like, okay, this is real. I do have to do this. So I started with just pre-recorded videos, rather than jumping right into doing Facebook or Instagram lives. Sure. That still honestly is a little bit intimidating to me, but I thought, well, okay, I'm not ready to do that just yet. What can I do? So I pre-recorded them. That way, you can take 16 or 40 takes, however many you need to do to get something that is useful and engaging.
Yeah, no, I like that, right? Because you do have to do it a few times, and like me, I'm putting content, and it's like I gotta like, what do they call it? What is it when they Tourette's, right? Is it Tourette's when they start cursing like all the time, right? Yeah, so it's like you'll do like this really good take, and then it's like you just like fumbled somewhere or something, and it's like, no, this is fine, right? But then you'll get like the the moments where you're like, right?
Yeah,
and then,
I have a lot of sweary outtakes.
Yeah, but then it's like, so here's where a lot of people get stuck. They're like, I'm not cut out for this, and it's like they expect to do it overnight. But I've seen that during the pandemic, once I started to like use Zoom more, and I started to like, do lives more, I got a lot of activity out of that. One, two, I feel like I got to know people a lot better, right? Versus just looking at their like pictures on like Facebook or Instagram, right? Like personality wise, right?
Yeah.
But then some people like they don't want to put too much of themselves into content because they think it'll come across as unprofessional. So what do you say to people, right? Or even to yourself, so that you can say, you know what, I want people to know who I am, my personality, but then I also want to come across as professional. So like, what are some pointers you could give people so they could do both at the same time?
Well, I think it's kind of a mistake in attitude to think that professional and personable are mutually exclusive.
Okay.
Especially in relationship-based businesses like coaching or consulting, or really any kind of business where part of what you're selling is expertise and trust and capability. Right. Basically asking your clients or customers, like, you're trusting me. So giving them an idea of your personality and having them see you as a real person that they can connect with and that they can trust is imperative.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah,
because it's not just your service that you're selling. At a certain level, it's also yourself.
Yeah. So they got to connect with you on some level, right?
Yeah.
How did you come into digital marketing?
Well, I started out as an SAT tutor. And I still do that, but during the pandemic, a lot of business dried up, a lot of the local traction that we had, and I just knew I had to expand my horizons and expand my search and look for students online. And I thought, like, okay, well, I'll run some Facebook ads. And when I first started, I had this idea in my head that you send an ad out into the universe and that's it.
Right. Much more complicated, right? Than that.
Yes, as I discovered.
Right.
And just the more I started learning and the more I started reading, it was just like, wow, there is a lot more to this.
Yeah.
Than it seems like on the surface.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that I started learning, and I started investing pretty heavily in the learning process, because it is a steep learning curve. It's an avalanche of information.
Yeah, it's a
lot. And a lot of different skill sets too to bring together. So that's how I got into digital marketing, and trying to be a marketer is learning for myself and thinking like, wow, this is a lot more complicated and difficult than I thought. I imagine there are a lot of other people out there who aren't where I was, and thinking, oh, I'll just throw up a Facebook ad and it'll work.
Yeah, I've been there. I've tried that, right? And it's like, I think it's the call to action too. Like, before I even knew it was called a call to action, right? It was kind of like, okay, what do you want people to do? And it was kind of like the way I would I would like do a video, right? And then I would like write copy behind it. And then there was no call to action. It was just like me just going on, like on LinkedIn, you can just like write a story, like a novel on LinkedIn, right? At some point, it probably like limits the characters you use or whatever. But I was just like, I would write. And then sometimes I would even do like a kind of like a blog style, right? And I got a little bit of engagement, but then I was like, I don't like to read. And at some point I got to like, I like to read books and stuff, but like if I'm scrolling, I like to continue scrolling. I don't want to have to stop unless it's like compelling. It's like, it gets me at the very begining, right? And I'm one of those guys, like, you got to grab my attention to keep me engaged. So I'll continue to scroll. And I think for me, what I learned was be yourself, one, on video content, but two, it's got to be like this 3-minute video, and I'm like, how do I condense what I want to say in 3 minutes? I don't know how to do that.
It's hard.
You know what I mean? So that was super hard, and I didn't read any books. I just like started following what people that were getting the most likes on social. I followed what they were doing, and what I realized is it wasn't really about the likes. It was more about what was happening in the comments section, right? And people were getting like a lot of engagement through the comments. So I kind of did that. But I think now I'm kind of stuck, right? Where it's kind of like, okay, so we went from a 3-minute attention span to like a 15-second reel.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's happening to people? Are we like, what's going on with us, right? Like, so we got a 3-minute attention span. Some people will listen to podcasts or like watch podcasts. They're like an hour. Joe Rogan, for instance, like 3 hours long, depending who he gets on, right? And then we go to like 15-minute reels. So how do you know which is the best option for you, for your business, right? Or for your, like, how do you know?
Well, I think you don't necessarily in the beginning. Part of any marketing effort does involve testing and seeing what works and what doesn't. You know, there's no one perfect solution that fits every problem and fits every niche and every service.
Right.
But I mean, I imagine it would be a safe bet to have a variety of formats and a variety of lengths to catch different people. Because some people do want to sit with it and really learn something. Yeah. You know, for 2 or 3 minutes, and some people want to just be entertained for 15 seconds. But even if you have a 15-second reel, you still have the caption in Instagram to provide further value. So you grab their attention with the 15-second reel, add more value in the caption, and then in there you could put another CTA. You know, let me know what you think in the comments. Please like and share. Whatever the case may be. Yeah,
so you should do a combination of all. It sounds like do everything.
I think
right.
I think so.
Yeah, don't limit yourself to just one. So you can like be multi-dimensional if you want, right? Something like that.
Kind of cover your bases. You know, stay consistent with your messaging and your tone and your vibe and, you know, your niche, but you know, just put a little something out there for a variety of price points in terms of attention.
yeah, I got you. Okay. So for you, okay, is it fair to say that in your content, you're more introverted or extroverted, or how do you make that? Because it's hard to tell, right? When you meet someone, when you see somebody on a video, right, and they seem really high energy, and they're really, you know, all about their video, but then you meet them in person and it's like they're not that level of energy, and it's like, well, I got this confused now, right? So like, what do you think it was for you? Do you think it was you being a little bit more introverted and then coming out of your shell a little bit and then going into video, or is it more that you're just naturally extroverted and you like to pull people in? I'm asking because I know people on both sides who are, you know, not doing any video content because they're either too introverted or they're too outgoing. They're like, I'll get canceled. I don't want to do any content because I'll get canceled, right? So it's like, well, how do you go from like your experience and say, hey, well, this is what I tap into to put out this kind of content?
Well, I do consider myself to be an introvert, but I'm also very excitable when it's a topic that I'm passionate about. And I think that is key to connecting with people, is tapping into your passion and tapping into what gets your energy up.
Yeah.
And you know, I find it very difficult impossible even to be authentic on camera and have the energy that is appealing to people if I don't feel strongly about what I'm saying.
Got it.
So I think that is a big part of being comfortable on camera, is just really caring about what you're saying and having that conviction.
Yeah.
And you know, taking some time to decompress afterward.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I am an introvert. I get excited about you know, what I'm doing, excited about what I'm saying, and I think that does come across on camera. But then I need to like recover, have some tea. You know?
And get back to some Kassandra time.
How to snuggle with the cat, you know, whatever.
Right. Recalibrate. Okay. Yeah. Nice. All right. What do you think is okay? So do you remember dial-up days? You remember AOL dial-up days, right?
I do. I am that old.
So like me too. Like, so we're showing our age, right? But I think most people, you know, our age range remember those days. They remember, you know, the slow internet speed and, you know, that annoying clanging sound, right? The fax machine sound, like, yeah, right? You know, so it's like, you know, we've come a long way. So like, I get excited about even putting out content that's trashy. You know what I mean? And when I say trashy, I mean, it's like not the best quality. There's the shaky cell phone, you know what I mean? And like, you know, not really knowing what the what anybody else is thinking about the content, just putting it out because you like it, right? I remember during dial-up days, you had chat rooms.
Yeah.
Today's Clubhouse reminds me of those days, like, and everybody's super excited around, you know, Clubhouse and all the relationships. I'm like, yo, this is nothing but chat, like back in the day, right? Like when we used to get on chat rooms and nobody really knew what
the
you
AOL
looked
chat
like.
room.
Yeah, you remember, right?
I do.
So the reason I'm asking too is like, do you see much of a difference? And even like billboards, you know, I was a big fan of Mad Men and how they were doing, you know, advertising back in the day. Do you see much of a difference in how we advertise or we market ourselves today versus back then? Or do you think it's more of an enhancement of that?
Yeah, I mean, if I had to say, I'd say it's a difference in degree rather than kind. You know, like an enhancement, like you said. But it's difficult for me to say for sure, because I mean, those days, you know, I do remember them, but you know, I was young, I was a student, I wasn't really paying attention to what was going on. I certainly wasn't seeing things through the same marketing lens that I have now. So
me neither.
It's hard to draw a real comparison. But you know, I mean, I think the essential truths of marketing in terms of connecting with your audience, finding your audience, and, you know, grabbing people's attention and kind of trying to guide them through a sales process. I think those are pretty timeless concepts.
Yeah.
I think it's just a difference in, you know, how you're presenting it.
Yeah.
And the exact mode you're using to execute those concepts.
Got it. Okay. So like in sales, right? I'm a sales guy, right? I love sales. I'm not ashamed to say it. I love sales, right? So there's two sides. There's like two sales models that I'm aware of, right? There's probably others, but I'm aware of the two. And I like these two because I like to go back and forth with them depending on the people I'm talking to on the other side, right? You've got some people who use the assumptive sale model where it's like, you know, sign here, you know, you need this, we're the only one for you. There's no competitor out there, just sign here. What are you waiting for, right? It's the assumptive sale model, right? Then you've got like the attractive sale model where it's more like attracting the prospect towards your product, right? And it's more allowing them to make an informed decision, building the rapport, building the relationship, less transactional, more people oriented, more relationship centered, right? So I think people get stuck when it comes to creating content, like marketing themselves around those two styles, right? Especially like in the call to action, where it's kind of like, when is it, you know, okay to be aggressive, right? And say, you know, hey, we're slashing prices and this is the new price, and you know what I mean? Versus like showing the value in the quality in the product, right? How do you, so like, I think one of them that I use is ClickFunnels, for instance, right? And it does like split testing. And then when you split the test, it'll tell you how each campaign is performing, right? And then you probably use the better performing campaign going forward, right? It's not every software is like that. And I think what's overwhelming for a lot of business owners is trying to find the right software, how they can create their narrative, get their narrative out to the marketplace, and get responses, leads, and then conversions. So with you, what do you think is like, I guess, a basic approach that somebody who's not as well versed or doesn't know as much about digital marketing that they can implement themselves and then kind of like start to measure how it's performing?
Oh, that's a good question. I think the exact platform you would use kind of depends on what you're selling, but you know, for someone at the very, very beginning stages, I would say, you know, don't sink a lot of time and energy and money into your website.
Okay.
Just have kind of a placeholder website, you know, just basically to show people that you're a legitimate business with an online presence, and have kind of ticked that box. But rather focus on building relationships with your audience, and make sure that you're offering fair value for, you know, if you're asking people for their contact information for your email list, you got to give them something in return. Have a lead magnet, or have something that is worth their while. You know, they're doing something for you. You gotta give them something in return. So for people in the very, very beginning stages, I would probably start thinking about, you know, what is something, you know, of value that I can offer in exchange for getting them to listen to me, basically.
Right.
To enter my email list and let me continue to talk to them.
Right.
You know, so probably just starting with an ad to a landing page to start building your email list would probably be a good place to start.
Okay.
And then from there, you know, you can start looking at specific platforms and the pros and cons and how it fits with your budget, and looking into more kind of complicated sales funnel models.
Okay.
But I think a basic one is for just, you know, generating leads. So we'll add to a landing page with a, you know, engaging copy that explains, you know, what their problem is, how you can help, who are you qualified to help them.
Yeah.
And to get started, here's this free something that further shows what you have to offer.
Okay. I'm following you all the way, right? So then the other thing I think about from there is like engagement, right? And I think I think a lot of people, for me, it took me a while to like say embrace digital marketing. I'm a guy, I got to get on the phone. I like to hear your tone when you're, you know, whether you're excited or you have questions, maybe you're curious, right? Or maybe you're doubtful. I got to hear the tone. I'm one of the old school guys, you know what I mean? And I don't think I can get that through, you know, through any marketing campaign or any email marketing. I think it just goes out there and let it do what it does, right? So for me, I'm like, all right, let me get on the phone, let me call people. How do you suggest people engage with maybe leads as those leads are coming in? What do you think are some easy go-tos for people to just like implement when they start getting that maybe those leads?
Well, I think it depends in part on what you're selling. It depends on price point, depends on personality. Well, like you said, you like to get on the phone with someone and hear them and hear their voice and get a feel for them. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's impossible to get the same idea across in writing. Mm-hmm. You know, good copywriting does convey tone. It does convey personality. It does convey your personal vibe, your values, your business philosophy. If with good copywriting, you can get a lot of what you get on a phone call with someone. And in some cases might actually convey it better. You know, not everyone is comfortable talking on the phone. Sure. And not everyone presents themselves in the best light on the phone. You know, if they get flustered and get confused, or you know, just feel like they're under pressure and can't think things through quickly enough to handle a potential client or customer's concerns, you know, they may give a misleading impression of how good they are at what they do. Yeah. In which case, you know, sometimes letting the copy tell the story for you is a better choice. But, you know, not everyone is good enough at writing to do that. And not everyone has the budget to hire someone to do it that effectively. Right. And in that case, you know, maybe you just got to practice being better on the phone.
Well, okay, so I like that, right? Because that segues into exactly what you do. Like, so I like how, looking at your content, you're super like transparent about like your model. You use a storytelling model, right? And you even, in one of your videos, you suggest a book, and you're talking about a book that you were reading that I guess goes into like the storytelling model. Tell me about storytelling, because I think that's something that, you know, it's easy to understand, but it's not easy to implement.
For sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Easy to understand, less easy to implement is exactly how I would put it. So first I feel like I need to draw a distinction between, like Facebook ads, you know, it's a social platform. So the storytelling is absolutely key. Okay. You know, that angle or that strategy may not play as well in like a Google ad.
Okay.
You know, where you just need to get right to the point. And also if you're doing Google ads, that works best for businesses that are already, you know, kind of in demand. People are searching for that specific thing.
Right. So the assumptive sale, that's the assumptive sale model right there. People
exactly.
Are
you don't need to tell a story because they're already looking for you. But on Facebook, it's a social platform. Not only does Facebook favor ads that don't look like ads, but also that's just not what people are necessarily there for. Facebook is the place to advertise things that people aren't necessarily looking for, but are gonna, when they see it, go, ooh.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, like they didn't know that they wanted it, but now that they see it, they do.
They're
so the way to make people go, ooh, is with the story.
The ooh factor, right? It's the ooh factor.
Yeah. And the book that I was talking about was called Story Genius by Lisa Krohn.
Okay.
Or Krohn. I don't actually know how you pronounce her name, but it is a book that actually I used in my work as a novelist, but I think a lot of the messages play very well for copywriting.
Okay, let's go back just a little bit. I want to go back just a little bit. You mentioned the big thing. You're a novelist. I didn't know that about you because that is a hidden talent and a skill in itself. So you're able to write compelling copy. So, okay, I just wanted to take that in real quick. Just pause right there, because me getting through a novel is like pulling teeth, right? So, not that I don't like novels, love a good one, but I never really get through them. But the writing style, I like that you mentioned that, because the style of the writing style of a novel or reading a novel, it's like watching a movie. Right?
Yeah, and it's actually less about the writing technique or the technical aspects of writing. It's I mean that's all important, obviously, but what really grabs people is the story itself.
Yeah.
You know, in my opinion, good prose should kind of disappear. Like the writing itself is not what you should notice.
Wow.
You should notice the tone and the story and the hook. And so this book, Story Genius, has a lot of lessons that I think can be applied to copywriting just as easily as they can be applied to writing novels. And basically the idea is that humans have evolved to respond to stories. You know, it's an evolutionary adaptation to help us learn and to help us connect to each other. You know, ideally we would not need to learn to run from a lion by being, eaten by a lion ourselves. We can tell stories to each other. Oh my God, did you hear about Bob? He got eaten, you know?
Right. Wow.
So basically humans have evolved to respond to story. When we hear a story well told, it triggers a dopamine rush in our brains that tells us, pay attention to this. And that is essentially what we're after as marketers. We want people's attention. Once we have it, we want to keep it, and we want it to go where we want them to go.
Love that. Love that. Okay. So from a novelist perspective, and I'm not a novelist, right? Look at me as I'm a novice, right? And I'm coming to you and I'm saying, hey, I don't want to write copy. I've got this great product. I want to sell it. Nobody knows I'm out there, right? And, I took writing when I was in elementary, right? And I really liked writing. I think I probably really embraced it around the 6th grade, right? Like 5th grade, I was pretty good at it, writing book reports, and I got raving reviews, but I was like, who, what, when, where, why? It's not that big of a deal. But I always felt like you needed to have like these connectors, right? I felt like you had to have like the because, the ands, and the whys, right? And so like my attention to detail was a little heightened compared to the kids in my class, you know what I mean? But that was like in the 5th to the 6th grade, and it was kind of like, it's the kid who doesn't stop talking, right? He's like, would you just shut up already and get to the point? Right? I was one of those kids. So the way I wrote, if they said just write a 1-page book report, it was probably 2 or 3 pages, right? So I'm coming to you and I'm saying, you know what, I don't want to write, I don't want to do this part of it, but I'll hire somebody to do it, right? With writing, it was like I don't want to get too like sophisticated here. I don't think it's sophisticated at all. I just think it's like you got the beginning, you got the middle, you got the end, right? And in writing, they call that like the thesis, the supporting argument, and then like the conclusion, right? And then it kind of like repeats itself over and over, right? With copy, though, I think a lot of people have a hard time knowing where to start, right? Where's the body of it, and then how is it supposed to end? Some people will put like, and I've seen this a lot, they'll put like a question there, right? Do you need blah? I know I write copy like this, right? Like I'll I'll put a question in on like where the thesis is, just like so I can grab your attention, and then I'll put in something supporting that, you know, the question, and then I'll put in a conclusion, which is usually my call to action. Now, that's me. That's how I do it. What are some other ways that you think people could do it so that you know, they can at least start getting some traction, and then when they get maybe too much traction, then they'll call Kassandra and they say, hey, you know what, I can't handle this, or it's not working and I kind of need your help, right?
Yeah. So I'll use kind of coaching as an example, but I think you can apply it to any kind of relationship-based industry.
Yeah.
But, you know, like you said, you know, you might start with a question, do you need this, or have you felt this?
Right.
So instead of putting the focus on your customer and kind of shining the flashlight on them, shine it on yourself.
Okay.
Right. So instead of asking them if they've felt lost or confused or directionless or whatever, start with an image that shows you at your, you know, rock bottom when you were feeling that way.
How about that? Yeah.
Right. And it should be a very specific image, something that draws your reader in and puts them in your shoes. You know, I was in this place, I was feeling this, I was feeling that, I was whatever, and paint that picture and then move to the solution. Well, how did I solve it? How did I get out of that place? And then the call to action, you kind of segue in with like, I did it and you can too. Let me show you how.
I love that. Yeah. That takes a certain level of vulnerability, I think.
It does. Honestly.
Right. Yeah.
But people respond to vulnerability. Like they want to know that you're a real person. And also, you know, I know it works because I did it and look at me now. Like that is a very compelling promise. It's not just a theoretical, well, the idea makes sense and it should work.
Right.
And, you know, believe me when I say it'll work for you. That kind of hits differently than I was there. I know how you're feeling. I know how hard it is, but I figured it out. I want to help you.
So it's like the proof of concept is the person, the individual, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just like being transparent. It increases, like, you know, you can build your rapport, right? The trust, liking factor is up. Those all three are up, right? Because it's really about you and where you overcame this challenge, right? What excites you the most about digital marketing today?
Honestly, what excites me the most is the opportunity to connect with so many people from my house.
Oh, wow. Yeah. How about that?
Yeah. Because I mean, like I said, I am an introvert. I am very much an introvert. And even back in the days of dial-up, when the internet was just becoming a thing, you know, I struggled a lot as a kid connecting to people in real life.
Okay.
You know, I get really nervous and feel really anxious and pressured when I'm with someone face to face. You know, out in the world, it's like, it's loud, it's noisy, it's smelly.
Yeah, I want my bubble.
I don't love being physically around people. If I leave my house, I want to be in the woods, or I want to be on a lake. I want to be somewhere where people are not.
Wow.
But a lot of it, I think, is kind of a sensory thing, and also, you know, not knowing what people want from you out in the real world. Whereas in the digital space, you know, you can tailor the experience to what you're there for.
Sure.
You know, I feel like I'm much more personable and seemingly extroverted online because I know what I'm here for. I know what you want from me.
Yeah.
And if you don't want it from me, you can just keep scrolling. You know?
Right. Okay.
So what I love about digital marketing is that you can find your people. You can find the people who are interested in the same things you are. You can find the people that you want to connect with and that will connect with you.
Yeah. You can find your
I think
tribe.
it's beautiful.
Yeah, nice. You can find your tribe. I like that. I think, what's funny about digital marketing, like I keep trying to find ways to be excited about it, and usually it's like templates for me. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, that's a cool template. Let me just throw something on there real quick, right? And then I was like, create my little bullet points, my little video, and I'll upload my little video and I'll blast it out. And then I got a dashboard that tells me how it's performing. And so it's like, I want to know how people feel about how it's performing. So it's like, I'll either, here's the best one. The best one is the unsubscribes. When I get an unsubscribe, I'm like, all right, that person is responsive, so I'm going to call now, right? Because like that person unsubscribed, you know what I mean? And I'm like, well, I want to know why they unsubscribed, And a lot of it, to me, is it's kind of like, yes, it's evolving, but then it kind of tells me who engages how. And I think that's really important for me. Like, I got to know when I'm sending out email marketing, for instance, like I'm sending out these like email campaigns, and I get an unsubscribe. I'm like, well, it landed on like, 1,200, maybe 1,500, sometimes even 2,000 people. And I got like, and it gives you the conversion rates, right? Like the KPIs and all. And I'll say, well, okay, what did I do wrong? And then I'll figure out through a disc assessment that, these people are more reserved and they don't like to be targeted this way. They like to be, I'm the kind of guy, I'll call. I'll say, hey, how's it going? And I know they have subscribed, but I won't mention the unsubscribe thing. You know what I mean? I'll just say, you're on my contact list, wanting to follow up, see how things are going with you, right? And I was doing that a lot during the pandemic, and the conversations were a lot more meaningful and a lot more engaging. And I felt bad, kind of guilty even, that I solicited them through email, right? Like it was kind of impersonal. And it was like, I took away from it, like, shame on you for not calling. You know what I mean? So that's why I call a lot now. So I think the templates excite me a lot. Being able to like you said, connect with people and being intentional around why I'm connecting with people, that excites me a lot too. Because I think time is like, time is like a rare commodity, man. Like you don't really get a lot of it. You know what I mean? So it's like you got to figure out what you got to do with it, especially if you have your own. Yeah, right. For you, I'm wondering, okay, because digital marketing and branding, sometimes people get them confused. Right, and some people don't put as much energy.
We're frozen again.
Oh no! There you go.
Sorry. There we go. We're back.
Yeah. Okay. So how do you make the difference between branding and marketing?
Well, I think branding is kind of your digital personality and your messaging and your values. And I see marketing as kind of the actions that you're taking to leverage those. Like branding is I think about who you are, and marketing is about how you're going and finding people and connecting with people.
Okay. Is there a point where branding or marketing goes into branding, and how do people make that transition or that distinction? What do you think?
Well, I don't know that it's a transition to be made. I think you need to keep both in mind. As you're engaging in marketing practices, you need to use your brand to inform what you're doing and how you're doing it.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think I think all of your marketing efforts should be on brand.
All your marketing efforts should be on brand.
Yeah.
That's a quotable right there. I like that.
I'm not totally sure I can take credit for that. I could very well have heard it somewhere myself.
Yeah. Well, we'll just do the hyphen unknown. We'll do that.
Yeah.
Right. But that's definitely a takeaway right there. Okay. So let's think about, so marketing today, and I'm thinking about like, into the metaverse, right? How do you feel about the metaverse?
Honestly, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what it is going to look like, but I would certainly enjoy a future in which most or a good chunk of our professional lives happen online. That one silver lining to come out of the pandemic, as awful as it was, I think a lot of companies realized, like, hey, we don't actually need to be all sitting here around a physical table to have this discussion.
Yeah.
And we don't need our employees to be in this either 1,000-degree or -1,000-degree office spaces with horrible lighting and
Right.
Like you don't have to make people uncomfortable to conduct business.
Right.
So I'm certainly hoping that we will move in a hybrid physical and digital reality for at least for professional purposes.
Yeah. So you're looking forward to that for yourself, for your business in the future?
Yeah. And I think a lot of people could benefit from it.
Yeah. So like you and an avatar, and like, I think Mark Zuckerberg does like the whole wardrobe where you can like select what you want to wear that day and all that. Like are you looking forward to that?
I am. If they can see me in a suit and I'm wearing my pajamas, like
right. Okay. Yeah. No, I hear you. I mean, I kind of want to dabble into that a little bit when it really starts taking off, but I just like being around people. You know what I mean? Like I got to get the whatever it is. I don't really know how to like say it, but I think whatever it is when it comes to like just getting that first initial reaction where somebody is like rubbed the wrong way, or when they're excited, you know what I mean? Like that right there. I wonder if an avatar can capture those emotions. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't think it'll ever be entirely one or the other. Like, I think people will still have the opportunities to meet in real life and get those real life vibes.
Yeah.
But I'm excited about the prospect of having another option.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. So combination.
I think the way that society and business in general has been conducted up until the last couple of years has been extremely inaccessible for a large sector of the population.
Sure.
And I think it took the lockdowns for people to kind of realize, it doesn't have to be this way. Like so many people have just put up with the way the world has been.
Yeah.
And now that we know that there's another option, I don't see it going back.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I don't think so either. I don't think it's going back either. I think you're just gonna get a lot more digital relationships, more, right? Yeah, I think so. And I think doing it like meta is cool. My kids, they play Roblox and they jump into like the same server and they're like in the same, that's the metaverse, right? And they're like, they're playing together, like, playing Roblox, like robbing houses, robbing banks, and they're like helping each other out. And I'm like, whoa, and just to watch them interact and engage with each other in real life, it's like they're also in the same game, but then you've got people who are like in different homes and, in different, on different computers, and they're still engaging at that same level. They send notes to each other,
I think it honestly allows for deeper relationships to be formed in some senses.
Yeah.
Because you're not limited by who is in your immediate environment. When you're in middle school or elementary school, often you become friends with the kid who's sitting next to you, or at the very least you're limited to the kids that you see every day and can form relationships with. So your potential pool of finding someone who can really connect to you on a deep level is a lot smaller. Now in the digital age, you can find people who care as much as you do about the same things you do, and you can find like the exact right people that you want to connect with and that you want to invest your time and emotional energy in. And if you don't find them, you can keep looking, and the chances of finding like a perfect friendship match or a perfect professional match are just so much greater than if you're limited to the people who you can reach physically in your neighborhood or your school or your office or whatever.
Yeah. So it sounds to me like you're not just like, okay, so like digital marketing is like what you do, right? But you're more about connecting, finding your tribe, right? Building like strong, solid relationships.
The internet was a game changer for me. Like I said, I struggle a lot in the physical realm to connect to people, and the digital interface has just, been life-changing for me, frankly.
Nice. Yeah, I'm happy to hear that, right? I don't know a lot of people who would say that, but for me to hear you say that means that there's something for everybody, right? Where you don't have to force the effort, right? Where it can just kind of like come to you naturally. So I'm happy to hear you say that. The pandemic was like making an agoraphobe out of me, You know what I mean? Like at some point, I love going outside. I love networking events. I like being around people. But at some point, I was like, I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to go to Starbucks. I don't want to go to any networking events. I'm going like one place and one place only. And I got to know before I get there, when I pull up, it's got to be, I do a head count. So I'm like, how many people are in there? If there's more heads in there than I can count, I'm out of there, right? And I was just like scared to be around people because I didn't know. In the beginning, it was like super scary. But Zoom, me being home and, you know, me talking to people online, I felt exactly how you're describing now, like, right? Like you didn't want to be around people. You felt really, so I can relate to you there. Where do you see digital marketing, say, from your perspective, like say in the next 10 years or so?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I mean, I definitely see the specifics and strategies and stuff evolving as we go along. And, you know, it's a constant race to stay ahead of trends and you know, and trends in the market, trends in specific niches, staying on top of on top of new software, and technical aspects. I think all of that is going to evolve, but I think more and more advertising is going to happen in the digital space. You know, as Meta gets up and going, the more time we spend in the virtual reality, the more advertising is going to happen there. You know, I could see, you know, like the VR headsets or whatever, where, you know, you're looking around your environment and you're seeing things that other people who aren't wearing the headsets are seeing. You know, maybe there's going to be billboards in the virtual space,
digital billboards.
That you know, maybe in the future marketers are going to have ads that show up in the physical space. If you're wearing, you know, maybe our computers are going to live in our glasses.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, or so maybe we're going to see targeted ads just like floating above certain products, or maybe we're going to see little billboards or ads showing up like on the walls of our kitchen. Like, who knows?
Yeah. I like that. You know, what's funny? Like, as you're saying that, I'm thinking about the Jetsons. When I was a kid, I loved the Jetsons, and I thought when I was an adult, I'd be living in that time. And I'm disappointed because we're not living in that time. But what you're describing sounds a lot like that. And I think augmented reality is going to be a big part of that, like you're describing. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that too. Okay. Before we wrap up, I really appreciate you taking the time. I think I learned a lot from you, and I am a lot more excited about digital marketing. But I like to play a game. It's called Hands Down, the Lightning Round. And
I'm not good at fast processing, but I will do my best.
That's fine. Me neither. We're on the same page there. Okay, so I'll ask you 3 questions. You tell me what you think about these questions, your opinion about these questions. If you don't like the question, just say pass, and we'll move on to the next one. Okay?
Are they just marketing related?
Maybe.
Okay.
If I told you, you'd be prepared. Right? Okay. So here we go. Favorite, do you remember the Jetsons?
Only vaguely. Okay. Like, I remember one of them had red hair. That's pretty much it.
Oh, come on. Really? All right. Favorite cartoon as a kid?
The Animaniacs.
Ooh, that was good. I love the Animaniacs. Yeah. Who's your favorite Animaniac?
I don't remember their names anymore, but I think it was like a chipmunk.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's Pinky and the Brain.
All right. Yeah, gotcha. All right, nice. So we're gonna go with the Animaniacs. All right. Favorite healthy option to eat if you're in a rush and you've got somewhere to be fast?
Fruit.
Fruit. Okay. What fruit? Any fruit?
I mean, if I'm in a rush and I have to be somewhere fast, I mean, apple probably, or a banana is the most accessible. Just take with you.
Gotcha. Okay.
Not necessarily my favorite thing to eat, but you know, under the circumstances, if I need to just grab something and go.
Okay. All right. And now on the other side of it, which is the last question, favorite fast food takeout place?
Pho.
What's it called?
Well, the actual restaurant is called Phenomenal, but you know, the food is the pho. It's like the Vietnamese beef noodle soup. Oh my gosh, I love it. We have it every Thursday night because I'm usually teaching late and I don't have time to cook.
Nice. Okay, that sounds good. I have to look into that. Probably in your part of town, right? Your part of the world, right? They probably don't have like a national.
You can find it wherever. It's not like phenomenal is the particular restaurant that we go to, but like any Vietnamese restaurant will probably have it. It's spelled PHO and pronounced pho. It's at least how I've always heard it pronounced.
Got it. All right, I'll look into that. And yeah, I'll take your word for it. And if it's horrible, you'll hear about it. Right? Okay. Okay. The last question, Kassandra, what is your bottom line? Right? Like your reoccurring truth. You know, in spite of any setbacks or circumstances that you have no control over, you go back to this truth, and it serves as rocket fuel for you. What is that for you?
Just do the next right thing. The exact phrasing has popped into my head from the Frozen 2, the sequul.
Oh, really?
There's a whole song about it.
You're gonna go there? You're gonna go there. I got a 7-year-old daughter, and I know like probably all the songs.
Yeah, no, it's a great song, but it sums up something that has kept me going like since I was a kid, which is, if you're not sure what you're supposed to do, you look at what can you do, like what is the next step, and do that thing. And honestly, some days and some moments it's okay, I need to turn my car off and open the door and get out. And like sometimes you have to break it down just that far, but just what's the next thing I need to do? What's the next thing to do? And just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and just, keep trucking on, and eventually you'll get to where you need to go.
Love that. I think that's going to resonate with people because it's very practical. You can implement that like literally every day. Okay. Yeah. So where do people find you? Say a small business owner needs some copy and such, right? Where do people find you?
Yeah, so on Facebook, I am Kassandra Head of Kassandra Head Digital Marketing. Website is KassandraHead.com. It's all very predictable and simple.
Yep.
Yeah, so right now I hang out mostly on Facebook because that's what I specialize in is Facebook ads.
Nice. All right, ladies and gentlemen, find Kassandra Head at Kassandra. Can I say KassandraHead.com? Is that?
Yeah.
Yes. All right. On Facebook also, digital marketing expert here. Check her out if you have any questions. You'll also be on YouTube because this is going to be on YouTube, so you can find her there. All right. This was a lot of fun, Kassandra. This was the Bottom Line Podcast, where we say what we mean and we mean what we say, because at the core of everything that is, was, and forever will be, there will always be the bottom line.